Hey guys, it's Marion from Attire and Beyond in Highland, New York. We sell new and pre-loved clothing, gifts, etc. But I am reading my book, Anyone Can Live a Happier Life. And when you see me in my gloves and everything, it means it's morning and I got here and it was a little chilly. This is by far one of the most powerful chapters in the book, and it's written by someone else, not by myself, not by me. And it's called Alcoholism and Addiction. What if you knew you could give up your addictions and become a happier, healthier person? Would you at least think about it? What if you knew it would not only help you, but change all of the relationships around you? Now, this is me asking this. If you knew you could get rid of that deep pain in your heart and perhaps teach others from it, as this chapter will show, if Rich can do it, anyone can. This chapter is a must-read for everyone. It shows how you can literally turn your whole life around in one moment. It shows it is never too late, or you are never too far gone. There is always hope. Hopefully you're sitting. This is a longer chapter, and I'm not even sure if I'll get through it in one reading, but we'll see. The Day That Changed My Life. Written by Rich Barnes. The dictionary's definition of addiction is the state of being enslaved to a habit or practice, or to something that is psychologically or physically habit-forming, as narcotics to such an extent that its cessation causes severe trauma. Let me read that again because I did not read it correctly. The dictionary's definition of addiction is the state of being enslaved to a habit or practice, or to something that is psychologically or physically habit-forming as narcotics, to such an extent that its cessation causes severe trauma. I am here to provide you with a first-hand experience of it. I am here to tell my story of 28 years of addiction and the destruction that took place during those years. And I am also here to tell you how I was able to turn my life around and become the man I am today. I now wholeheartedly believe we all have the power of choice and the voice to yell it out. My name is Rich Barnes, and I reside in a small suburb on the South Shore of Massachusetts called Bridgewater. I live there with my wife and my two beautiful daughters. Life today is hectic and busy, but it has no comparison to what it used to be about 6 years ago. Let me take you back to the beginning of my self-made hell I lived in for about 28 years and almost died in. I was born in 1968 and grew up like just about any other little boy. I was always happy and played hard every day. I played hide and seek, kicked the can, street hockey, and whatever else was being played at that time. There were no pressures of life on my shoulders, and there was not an ounce of care or worry inside my heart. That all stopped when I was just 7 years old. I remember the day as if it were yesterday. I was 7 years old, and my mom called me in to talk to me. She told me something about her and my father getting a divorce, and I had no idea what that meant. I asked my mom to elaborate as to the definition of divorce. I have to move something because it's taking my attention away and I want to be in the now. There we go. And all she told me was that my daddy was not going to live with me any longer. I was crushed. Being the only boy in the family and the youngest of 3 children, my mind was going a million miles a minute. Who was going to take me fishing? Who was going to play catch with me and teach me to play football or hockey? Who was going to show a boy how to become a man? And who was going to be my role model? I was scared, to say the least, and felt betrayed by my two parents, who, no matter what, were always supposed to be together and teach their children how to maintain a rock-solid family foundation. My world, my life as I knew it, was crumbling right before me. I was 7 and I felt alone. I felt all these emotions inside, and as my brain slowed down from all of these sad thoughts, I told her that I understood and that I was okay. That statement was so far from the truth. I was not okay and hurting so bad, but wanted to stay strong. I needed at 7 years old to be the man of the house. I didn't cry in front of anyone, nor did I show emotion. I was isolating the world and keeping everything inside. I had a built-in shovel and buried all the pain, all the hurt, and all the sadness deep within the canyons of my heart, never to be discovered again. The next few years were rough. I hid all my pain from everyone. When things got unbearable, I hid under a coffee table so no one could see me cry or become weak. And every time I cried under the table. I actually, as weird as it is, now brought a pen under the table with me so I could put a date on the table. That table knew more about me than anyone. I told the table about my deepest secrets, all my sadness, pain, and deepest hurt. That table became my release valve until I was 13. Then I discovered something that would not only take the pain away, but also make me happy: alcohol. When my father moved out, he left all the alcohol downstairs in an old bar that we had. The bar had a stereo in it, and disco lights would play as the song played. As a 10-year-old, inquisitive little boy that I was, I always saw these bottles, but truly had no interest what they were or how they made people feel. I was naive at the time, and I wish I remained naive. But I decided to open a bottle of Bacardi rum and try it. Here I am, a 10-year-old little boy about to embark on what will turn out to be a 28-year living hell. I poured the room temp Bacardi into a glass and took a big sip, not knowing how gross it was. It went down like nails and started to come back up, but I did not let it. I kept it down and, in fact, took another big sip. Within 10 or so minutes, I started to experience a euphoric feeling like no other, and I loved it. It made me happy and seemed like a solution to all of life's problems, the problems a 10-year-old should not have to feel or endure. I continued to drink more frequently and started to bring drinks to my bedroom. I was a clever little boy because I only drank the clear liquids so I could replace them with water, so nobody would ever know. Soon enough, I would mix whatever the alcohol of choice was with some juice, or yes, even milk. I loved getting drunk, and instead of anyone reading me a bedtime story to put me to sleep, rum, vodka, gin, or any other alcohol became my story. It lulled me to sleep and again took all my problems away. I was drinking so much I started to run out of alcohol. I needed someone to buy it for me. And I found that person. He bought me the alcohol I needed in exchange for a pack of cigarettes, and even exchange in my books. I got drunk and he got his smokes. I got my license to drive at 16 and a half, and this is where all the trouble started. The arrests started to happen, the DUIs, the stealing, and a whole boatload of even more trouble started to occur. The decisions and choices I was making were all bad. Alcohol was starting to ruin my life. And that was all I cared about. The next bottle, where it was. and how I was going to get it. Alcohol had its grips in me, and I could not get it to release them. I turned 17 in 1985 and no longer needed him to buy my alcohol because now I had a fake ID. Now I was everyone's best friend. Everyone came to me to buy them alcohol, and I did not mind at all because in doing so, I got my alcohol free. I loved to drink, and in fact, I loved it more than anything. The arrests did not stop me. Lectures from my parents did not stop me. School suspensions did not stop me. And nothing in this world would stop me from getting drunk. It was just way too important to me. Grades started to fall, and I needed to attend summer school. Relationships started to become compromised. Whatever family values or family had were now out the window. I just did not care about anything except the bottle. One day, while drinking and driving with a friend, we had pulled over on a side street and harassed a girl we knew so that she would come out and drink with us. It was about midnight, and we did not care what time it was because alcohol was calling the shots. Any kind of ethical behavior was out of the window, and our integrity level was non-existent. Alcohol had me in its grips and ruled my every move. That night, while in front of her house, my friend asked me if I wanted to try something. I did not know what it was, but he took out a little square piece of paper and put this white powdery substance on the top of a cassette holder. Back in the 80s, that is what we had for music. I asked what it was, and he told me that it was cocaine. Just like when my mother told me about the divorce, a million thoughts raced through my mind. Do I try it? What will it do to me? Will I die? He told me that if I love booze, and boy I did, then I would fall in love with cocaine. I tried cocaine in 1985, and just like he said, fell in love with it. I got into the cocaine circle of friends, and it was top secret. Only the people who did it spoke of it. I loved cocaine from the minute I tried it. But it was expensive, so the money to buy it became a factor. We would do it maybe once every 2 weeks, then once a week, and then for me, being the addict I am, every 5 days, 3 days, and then every day. I graduated in 1986 by the skin of my teeth. A full-blown alcoholic and a severe cocaine addict. The sad thing was, I did not even know it. I was blind to my addictions and in denial. After all, I was Rich Barnes, the good-looking jock with an outgoing personality. I couldn't be an alcohol or addict because those things just do not happen to people like me. Addicts and alcoholics are streetwalkers with no jobs, right? They are the bums in the subways that ask for money, right? Like I said, I graduated high school by the skin of my teeth and then gave college a chance. I hated it. I hated being dictated to and being told what to do by professors. After all, high school to me was mandatory and college was optional. So I quit college at 20 and decided to sell cars. I was intrigued by selling cars because there was good money in it and a company car to boot. I figured if I could make a lot of money, I could feed my cocaine habit and be happy. In 1988, I got a job at a Jeep dealership and worked there for about 10 years. Sorry, guys. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice from reading too much. Tank. Please excuse me for that. Okay, here we go. During the time, I started dating a girl who I would eventually ask to marry me in 1998. She knew nothing about the secret life I had as an active alcoholic and drug addict, And I went to great lengths to keep that lie a secret. I not only hid it from her, but I hid it from everyone I could. I was embarrassed, ashamed, guilt-ridden, and loathed myself. In 1999, I felt I needed a change and went to work at a Ford dealership. I wanted to stop the drug use and the alcohol consumption, but I couldn't. I did taper it down a bit, but the feeling and compulsion was always there. It was a daily fight. I fought tooth and nail, but always succumbed to the demons, and sometimes, as I lay in my bed, high on cocaine and drunk off vodka, I would cry myself to sleep. I knew I was in trouble. I knew I could not stop. I would wake up each morning, throw up in the shower, and tell myself that I am done. I am not using drugs and alcohol today, and sadly, at approximately 2 p.m., I would be telling myself that I could not believe I did it again. Stopping, starting, back up, believing in myself, not believing in myself. I was so confused, and the life I was leading was killing me. I was a wreck and a slave to something I once thought to be fun and a good time. I got married in 2000, May 27th to be exact. The ceremony was beautiful. The sun was shining, the birds were chirping, and everything else seemed to be in order. To me, the only thing missing on this perfect, beautiful day was my drink and drug. I needed it so bad. We finally arrived at the reception, and I went directly to the bar. Again, my wife did not know about my problem, nor did anyone else. I was a magician of illusion and the creator of a world that I no longer wanted to be in. I got really drunk at my reception and do not remember a thing. Here is a day you are supposed to remember for the rest of your life, and the only true memories I have of it is on videotape. I knew I was in trouble and knew eventually I would get caught up. It was just a matter of time before my lies and my life caught up to me. Years went by, and my wife and I were having a baby. We were so excited and thrilled to have an addition to our family. When I think about getting the baby's room ready with the crib, painting the walls, putting a border on the wall, and so much more, the memories come back to haunt me now. Because when all of this was happening, when I was supposed to be enjoying these special moments, I was crying and dying on the inside because I was high through it all. Sad but true. The thought of having my baby, the soon-to-be most precious, beautiful thing in my life, would not even stop me from getting high. May 10, 2004. I arrived home from getting high, and it is about 11 p.m. I lay in my bed with my sleeping wife, who still knows nothing about what I am doing. Addicts are the best hiders of their disease and will go to great limits, any limits, to hide their drug abuse. About 2 a.m., she tells me that her water broke. Again, if not a million, then 2 million thoughts went through my brain. I did not want to be discovered, especially at that moment in time. While crashing down from being high on cocaine, did I want my new baby girl to come? Let me reread that because that didn't sound right to me. I don't know if it sounded right to you, but I'll go back to especially at that moment in time. While crashing down from being high on cocaine, did I want my baby girl to come? She was coming into this world and I would have to go to the hospital, and the thought of being discovered for who I really am scared me. I thought all the doctors would focus on me instead of the baby. I thought my wife would find out that I was using and lying about my abuse. Why did my baby have to come when I was high? Then again, when wasn't I high? I then, out of desperation, told my wife that she peed her pants and for her to go back to sleep. She did not buy into that thought, and into the hospital we went. We arrived at the hospital, and I was so paranoid and scared. The experience, like my wedding, was supposed to be a beautiful and special, but for me, at that specific time, it was awful, to say the least. I was crashing down a spiral of hell and wanted to leave. I wanted to leave my wife in the hospital and just drink, but I couldn't. A spark of ethical behavior, perhaps? A glimmer of hope that a moral fiber does exist? Emma was born on May 11, 2004, after numerous hours of labor and finally a C-section. From the moment I saw her, I loved her. But cocaine was more important. After my wife went to sleep and Emma was in the nursery, I could finally make the call to my drug dealer, and he conveniently brought cocaine to me in the hospital. I did some cocaine in the bathroom and felt as though everything was going to be okay. That is what addiction tells us, that everything will be okay. I was high in the hospital room. I was high holding my infant daughter, and I was high all night long. I cried that night out of happiness for finally meeting my daughter, but because I was stuck and high. I did not want to use any longer and wanted so desperately to scream out for help. Please, someone, anyone. I am high and I do not want to be any longer. Please help me. Stop. Please. Sadly, my pride and ego would not allow me to ask for help. The disease of addiction told me that I could do it myself. The disease of addiction told me that I was not that bad and that everything would be okay. But would it? My beautiful daughter was home and has been for about 3 months. My wife and I split up the nightly feedings, and all I can remember was me feeding my beautiful daughter high. Abusing cocaine for so long, paranoia was setting in. I believed that people were in my house, which, by the way, my house is securely alarmed, and that they were going to hurt my family. They were in my closets, under the beds, in the basement, in my backyard. They were everywhere. People were invading my home, and I wanted to kill them. I sometimes would set traps up inside my house to catch these figments of my imagination. I would cleverly weave fishing line all throughout my house when I was alone and tie forks to the line so that when these people I thought were in my house came down to the room in which I barricaded myself in, the forks would fall and they would be discovered. Wouldn't you know it? The forks never fell. The fishing line never moved, and I never killed anyone. Drugs, alcohol, and this insidious disease of addiction were literally driving me to insanity and into a state of depression. I was stuck in a vacuous container and spinning around and around, stagnant in my own filth and deceit. I could not get out, nor could I stop. My cries were getting more frequent, and I was desperate. Help me, someone, please help me. November 3rd, 2006. I had come home from a crack house, and it was approximately 11 p.m. And my wife and Emma were sleeping soundly in bed. They had no idea that the person they called daddy or husband was a monster that was shallow, weak, and cowardly, and wanted nothing more than to die. I lay in the bed beside my wife, and my heart was beating out of my chest. I took some Benadryl pills. I drank a bottle of NyQuil and a pint of vodka to assist me in crashing from being high. I could not take the mental anguish that drugs were providing me, and needed some assistance in crashing faster, and they provided it. I decided that I needed to stop the pain I was causing myself and those who loved me. I needed to stop this roller coaster of lies, deceit, and drug and alcohol abuse. There was only one thing left for me to do. After all, I needed to stop. I tried everything to stop, and nothing helped me. And that was suicide. Drugs, alcohol, and being addicted to them both were harming not only me, but the wake I created from my abuse was enormous and reached so many. I wanted to die and was going to do it. I got a 13-inch serrated butter knife from the cabinet and brought it to my wrist. I was not a holy person, nor did I have a relationship with God. The only relationship we had was when I messed up something or hurt myself, I would yell, "Oh God," or "Jesus Christ." Other than that, no relationship whatsoever. I continued to get on my knees and inched the knife to my wrist. Pressing harder and harder on it, I was fully engulfed in tears, regrets, sadness, and hatred for the disease I had and the man I now have become. I decided to ask for forgiveness for making my little Emma daddyless and my wife a widow. I loved them so much and did not want them to find out the truth about me. I asked God to give me the courage to do this, help me to do it quickly and painlessly, and I begged him not to think I was a coward for ending it. I also, as a last resort, asked God to help me. Help me stop this insidious life and make me whole. Help me put down the drugs and alcohol and allow me to heal physically, mentally, and spiritually. I am here to tell you now that if you do not believe in miracles, you should. As tears come down my face as I type this, I am free. I am free from the chains that held me at bay for over 25 long years and almost took away my life. I am free from the mental torture, the physical pain, and the spiritual deprivation that this disease of addiction carries with it. I have tons of damage in my past and have made amends with everyone I could have. I hurt a lot of people that were in my way, and if you are reading this and were one of those people, I am truly sorry. Life is different now, being a sober person. So many things changed for the better. My anger went away, my selfishness and self-centeredness depleted, and I truly enjoy every breath I breathe. God has given me a second chance at life. The one thing, the biggest thing I missed was the first 2.5 years of my daughter's life. I prayed to God to remove that hatred I had for myself for not knowing my little daughter, and 1.5 years into my sobriety, God blessed me with another little girl. Avery came into this world in July 2008. Raising Avery has given me such a new outlook on life. I am so grateful that I now know what I missed out with Emma and have a second chance to experience it with my little Avery. Today, my life is second to none. I have not had a drink or drug in 6 years, and my life has come full circle. And it's still coming full circle because it's been another 7 or 8 years. So he's a wonderful, strong man. I have a passion for helping people improve their lives and instilling in them the confidence that no matter what they are going through, no matter how big the pain they are experiencing is, and no matter what problems they are facing, they are bigger than them all. My past is behind me and I cannot do a thing about it. I have faced my demons and forgave myself for everything I have done. I need to be happy right where I am in order to get to where I am going. So be happy in the now. I realize that my life is now my own, and what's in front of me today is much more important than what is behind me. I hope my story helps you. If you are an alcoholic or an addict, If you do not believe in yourself, or if you are going through a hard time in your life and everything seems dark, remember one thing: light overtakes darkness. And when you see that light at the end of the tunnel, that little itsy bitsy light, run to it. Run to it with every drop of blood, sweat, and tears. Never, ever give up on yourself. Ever. You may fail a million times, but at least you have the next opportunity to succeed. If I quit trying, if I just gave up on myself, I would not be here writing this to you. I am drying the tears off my face, and they are tears of joy, not despair. They are tears of happiness, not sadness. They are tears of strength, not weakness. Today, I help people all over the world, and to a guy like me, a guy that 6 years ago was helpless, hapless, drug addicted, self-loathing fool, is truly humbling and inspiring. Life is extremely precious and is as fragile and beautiful as the thinnest stained glass window. I took life for granted for many years, and today I am grateful for not only every day I breathe, but for every breath I take. P.S. By the way, I kept that table into my adulthood, and when I threw it away, I noticed it had hundreds of dates on the bottom of it. Thank you so much for reading my story. With gratitude, Rich Barnes. So I wrote, Rich is truly an inspiration in every way. He helps so many with his story and guidance. If he can do what makes you think you can't, if he can do it, what makes you think that you can't? Of course you can. It may not be an easy road, but the road is there waiting for you to take the journey. Whew, that's a heavy one, huh? So our next chapter is on integrity. So I'll be back with integrity. Guys, if you liked this, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please, no, I'm not begging, please subscribe and hit the bell if you are interested. I'm just kidding, really, not really. So anyone can live a happier life with Marion from Attire and Beyond in Highland, New York. Bye, guys.